Hello Taurus, welcome to Cat Tarot. This is Cat, and if we get to be lucky, then Safi the kitty, Safi the cat might visit us during the reading. So let me just give you a quick info how this January forecast is going to work. It's going to be actually two parts. First, I'm going to go ahead with January forecast, so we're going to go do Celtic Cross, and the second part is going to be basically quick overview of 2021, and you're also going to get an oracle message. Also guys, if you are into numerology like I am, so you want to know vibration of a year, I am going to be sending an email. So check my mailing list on the bottom, put yourself on it. I just send it once a month when I send monthlies, or when I have something special like this numerology review for 2021. So that's going to be the catch over there. But other than that, let's just jump right in. So Taurus, January 2021. Taurus, January 2021. Taurus, January 2021. Taurus, January 2021. So we are starting with Eight of Sky. You feel stuck. To me, look at this. Let's just kind of like talk about this card first. Kitty is stuck in those roots, and the bats are above, and it looks like it's going to be rain, and top of this is a Siamese kitty, and also looks like it's a fall or it's cold. They don't tolerate cold very well. They don't have the double coat or undercoat, and also like they are very finicky. Like I kind of I have one here. Safi the kitty is one, and they're very, very smart, but when they get panicky, they just kind of like flip-flop everywhere, right? So what is the way to get out? Look at how the paws are being placed. Poor kitty is like really in a sense of panic, and what do I do, what do I do? And sense of panic is going to just result in scratches and basically not getting anywhere. So some strategy is really needed for resolution of this problem, right? Kind of like, hey, let me kind of like bend down here, go out here, squeeze myself out. So it's kind of like three-step process if you really think. To me, this card also very often appears when there is I don't know if I can say third party per se, but there is a situation where somebody needs to resolve their status or their situation before they can move forward. For example, of course, with a relationship, you need to kind of finish one before you go in another one. Also, you cannot go and look for a new job if you're still very, very much engaged and it's taking all your energy and effort. So hence you're not putting that energy and vibration into search of the new one. So everything coming back is mediocre because it's just like the energy that is really expanding. So it's also sometimes what they call a spiritual box. So it's just think about that you're going to check sharks, right? And they put you into that box and they cannot get to you. You're seeing everything that is going out, and can be even scary looking on the outside. Technically nothing is really happening to you, but you're still kind of like, well, you're feeling protected on one hand, but you're immobile on the other hand, right? So if shark gets right through that cage, well, then you're basically screwed, right? So here, maybe this is you who feel like, that you're like a little bit suspended, or they're like, there's no information. Maybe you're waiting to hear from somebody and nothing is happening. At least you can take kind of like, comfort in knowing that this is because things are not resolved. There's like really nothing new to report, and in this case no news is not the good news. In this case it means it's some kind of like stagnation that is really, really happening. So trust me, things are really kind of like interesting this month. Also astrologically, January brings the end of Uranus retrograde, but also January brings the first Mercury retrograde of the year. So kind of like this, I believe it's really talking about Mercury. Mercury is going in Aquarius on January the 8th. And that's basically the communication planet, and you just like want to talk your freaking ear off. So if you are the one who neglected somebody, or even if you're the one who is neglected, around the 8th you might hear from somebody, right? And that's going to be kind of like checking on the friends and kind of nurture them, and it's going to be some form of communication. You see, as I said, now we have this crossed with Lovers card, and So it feels there is a barrier to get here where you really want to be, and it feels like it's very tangible. It's so easy, right? Like the kitty can actually slip if kind of like this 3-step process is done, but nonetheless it looks like that resolution doesn't depend on you, and hence you feel that somebody else is basically, you know, making a dress for you even without knowing your measurements, kind of a thing, right? So then, oh, you have the sun. This is amazing. So first of all, I mean, you are an earth sign, right? And we just went through the great conjunction and the great mutation. If you haven't seen that video, that's crucial. That's not only affecting this month, this day, it's going to affect next 200 years, well past us being here, right? And even our offspring and the offspring of the offspring. So it is really important for you because you're an earth sign, and as an earth sign you kind of like have one way of comprehending life, where for example fire signs, water signs, and air signs, they have their own thing. So now this Saturn and Jupiter moved from basically meeting and having that rendezvous in earth signs to having rendezvous in air signs. So it's just like different type of, even if you want dating. So it goes from dining out, which was very much earthy kind of thing, to when you're going to air, it's like all online. It's maybe even lots of online relationships. It could be virtual, it could be digital, it could be fun, would be simply maybe going in a room that you book and you kind of like play games. So it's going to kind of like shift in a completely different way of communication. So you have here air, and you have air, and you have fire that is coming through so far. So your energy is growing, your energy is getting on a higher level, and that's going to be something that is going to be really appreciated for you, which is really, really important, right? Somehow you have things that will be really happening for you when Aquarius season start. So it almost like looks like it's going to be revolving slowly, and then it's going to be whoosh, on January 19th when we enter that season. Also, that Uranus that I told you that is going direct is happening on January 14th, and it has been retrograde since August, which kind of like we are getting through here because the Sun card came through, and Sun is native in Leo, and August 15, 2020, when Uranus went retrograde, was basically in Leo, and it was training us and telling us you need to go deep, you need to kind of like figure out what are your weak points, what are the kind of like what is the report that you get from the other people, what are the complaints. You really need to work on it, right? This is your way to change. This is the way to self-reflect, which was really interesting with that Uranus retrograde. It's very, very pertinent to your sign, as it basically happened in Taurus. So it's kind of like there's like those what they call it, Sabian symbols, and those symbols are helping us better understand all of these retrogrades, right? So when Uranus retrograded in Taurus, it was like in 10-degree Taurus. So 10-degree Taurus is represented with a king or a powerful man who is crowned, who is on a throne, who kind of like obviously has the power and bounty and enjoyment of it. So it's a Canto, King of Pentacles, which basically represents your sign in tarot. And now coming out on the 14th, it's the 6th degree, and 6th degree, hello, it's represented with a cow that is a kind of like really enjoying a bounty of green pastures, right? Which kind of cow, Taurus, right? It's the same, still the same over here. So the Sun card over here on your foot is telling me that on this side, on the way out, you really have learned who are people who will be there for you and who are going to people who are not there for you, right? Maybe you have learned a value of a relationship, and maybe you're more patient with some relationship that maybe it's not necessarily really the ideal way it would work, and you're kind of realizing nothing is ideal. There's like a pragmatic nature. But this also could be commitment to the family, commitment to your kids, and kind of like working in that direction. You have Sky Queen, and that's another air over here that is in the past. It kind of like means that maybe somebody is watching over you, looking over you, maybe having an eyes for you, maybe trying to get into your inner circle. Sky Queen is generally not the person who is going to blab a lot, Maybe she does. This means she's in a really, really good mood. But Sky Queen usually, her thing is kind of understanding the situation. This is one of these people who have been hurt quite a bit. And when people kind of like end up kind of like being kind of like either doormat or something, some people just simply flop and they just kind of resort to drugs and bad behavior. It's just very few survivors kind of like flip it on the other coin and they said, you know what, I'm going to live with these scars. But you know, they're there. They're reminding me of all these battles. They're reminding me of everything that I have been through, everything that I had to battle out. So now, because she's been through so much, just like think about a really bad Oliver Twist, she kind of like knows how the story ends. So it is somebody who is maybe giving you this kind of like feedback, maybe somebody who you're asking to kind of like help you out over something. This could be a new partner that is coming through because you have the Lovers and you have the Sun. So that's a possibility of a relationship that is very, very important, that is very, very strong. And then you have a Fire King. You see, like it just continues, like you have the air, and air, and then you have a fire on this axis. So instead of King of Pentacles, you have a King of Wands, and like he is here on his throne. And fire just simply means energy. It means kind of like going in a direction, and also it is in the crowning spot over here. So you are, and this tells me about a couple. So either if you're in a relationship, guys, this is going to look really nice and soft and cozy. And if you have issues in a relationship, and this is kind of like also on January 8th, when the Mercury goes in Aquarius, Venus will also enter Capricorn at the same day, Friday. And that's going to be a sign. Capricorn is hardworking. So hardworking plus relationship, what does that mean? Well, it means that we realize relationships are not just something that is being thrown at us and we use it and then we just disregard. It takes work at some point to make it work. Just like a car, it needs fixing and repair, and maybe new attitude, maybe new parts, maybe new fresh look at it, and that's kind of like you're more than willing to do that. I'm not so sure that your partner is willing to do that, even though that's an overall energy that is basically happening. But nonetheless, as I said, there is a little barrier over here, but nonetheless, everything else so far seems to be positioned really well. So then we have the Floating Cats, and this is your second major arcana, and this is like something that is going to be happening immediately, and I really believe that is connecting with Mars. It's entering Taurus, which is basically your sign. It's on the 6th, so this is about self-care, but it's also about understanding. And I really think this is going again back here. It's kind of like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? Are you coming over? What's up? What's going on? What will we do? Right? It's also that you are somehow stepping in those shoes, because I think you have learned some lessons from the Sky Queen. Initially, maybe you didn't take this person very seriously. You felt you're stronger. You felt that this is full of crapola, if you wish. But then over time, you actually have realized the quiet strength of this person, and also quiet freakouts, or not so quiet freakouts, right, to say, of this person when she's on a bad day. That's kind of like quirks. And this is maybe why you're kind of encouraged to kind of like go in this new direction and maybe start things anew and kind of like go in this celebration. Also, I think you're really eager to do some kind of like activities. As I said, it's going to be a really big step forward by you doing the Floating Cat, the Hangman routine. It simply means you're looking at things differently. You are checking this different perspective. You are kind of like stepping in their own shoes and really seeing how the situation is. Because you know what they say, you cannot judge others until you walk a mile in their shoes. So let's see your own house. Whoa, you have a karma card here. And it's called Good Kitty, or Judgment card in the regular deck. Look at that. It's kind of like dreams about kind of like this release, and I'm going to achieve my goals, and it's going to be the paved with gold and diamonds and everything. And this is clearly appealing to you. So now, this card is Neptune, and this card is Pluto. So we have onset of emotions, coming through, and that's going to coincide with new moon in Capricorn for you. That will be on the 13th, and some of you might start a new business venture, and new moon is in Capricorn, so this is a sister sign for you. You need to really follow up on paperwork, but something around this day, plus minus 5 days, it's going to feel like ta-da moment. It's going to feel like release. You have a good kitty in your own house, so you have been good. Like, this is literally Santa bringing you presents, and you have been a good boy or good girl, kind of a thing. When this card shows up, it means you're released, both from reward. So people think I do something well and I'll be rewarded forever. No, you just get one reward, off you go. You have to do this again. Same thing with the bad things, right? And sometimes our society makes people pay for bad things for freaking forever, even after they serve their jail sentence, right? And the basically flip side of that is like, you cannot be rewarded for something good for freaking forever. It's nice that you did it. It's nice that you saved a soldier in the war, but kind of like, let's move on, right? Mind you, like, I mean, honoring things that are good and bad are also very universal kind of concepts. So now there is like this determination by karma, by Madame Karma, that, hey, you know what, this is it. Like, this is that kind of like point where it's time to release. It's time kind of like to put this line and just check what you did so far. So this is the assessment. And in this assessment, like, I mean, the good is going to outweigh the bad in your situation. Then you have the outside, your environment. You have another air card over here, which is the Six of Sky, which is the Six of Swords. Check it out. Look at this big battle over there. Everybody's fighting. So there are no clear winners over here, right? There is like simple kind of like bloodshed. I don't know if you can see this kitty has his own kind of like scratches, but also the face shows like, I'm not happy. I am out of here and I am done. So this is kind of like leaving some trouble behind. Somebody needs to leave this trouble behind. I wonder if this is the same person over here. Somebody needs to move on in a new productive way. And this is like where the communication is needed, and sometimes you really literally need to walk away. It almost like sounds like that somebody's prolonging something, and that's why you're stuck. Everything is positioned very well. Look at that, like 1, 2, 3 major, 4 major arcanas, which means you're set for a huge month, right? And this is like almost like you are not driving that car. Universe is driving this car. So whenever this happens, you need to trust the universe. You cannot blame on this person, because person is trying to figure something out. They're really trying to. Your hopes and fears is again air. You have a sky tone. So sky tone is generally talking about our attitudes, our goals, our aspirations. What is really interesting here is, as you can tell, like, where the heck is he going to land, right? Like, it's all up in the air. Kitty cat just like, I mean, had a goal in mind and forgot that, oh my God, like, you know, I'm going to break my legs. So it's a good and bad. It's kind of like understanding to take incremental steps and to take them quickly, swiftly, to go in that direction, versus, you know, the opposite of, I guess this is what this happens when you go through the period of stagnation or somebody kind of holding you out. All you want is to move forward, right? It's almost like somebody holding you in an elastic band, and then they kind of like release you and whew, off you go and flying. So there is like something like that, kind of like that jerk motion that will happen, and for you it's going to really culminate after 19th, when we enter in Aquarius stage, and it's going to start kind of like coming in a full kind of like bloom, right? Now we also have on the 28th of January full moon in Leo, and you might need to wait the entire month, and it's kind of like showed up here for you, but that love, those love messages are coming. You are you're going to kind of like really like it, even though on the 30th, so it's almost like going to be a little window where you kind of like really realize that normalcy. You realize that things can be grounded and things kind of look up. But at the same time, they're going to vanish as quickly as they appeared. It's going to be, what the heck? And that's the Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde is going to be in Aquarius this time around, which is actually not that bad, because it's a sister sign, and it's kind of like, I guess, you have to kind of like really put things together, because Mercury in Aquarius is connecting with friendships, with technology, with texting. So if you are trying to kind of like maintain some relationship that is long distance, or that is possibly involvement of somebody else, that could be some ex-wife, ex-husband, could be some difficult situation, a mother-in-law kind of a thing, maybe somebody's in a senior home, then just be careful when you're texting that you don't send your mother-in-law text versus your boyfriend, or so on and so forth. That's kind of like the warning. And then you have one more major arcana. Now it's a demon cat. Now this is really interesting, because this is the opposite side of this coin, right? It's almost like you came to full circle. It almost like sounds to me, even though Wheel of Fortune is not showing up, so that with the wheel it just like went all the way down and you have to go up. And that's kind of like what makes sense with this card as well. So what is this all about? As much as this is about connecting and understanding, and things are opening, the paths are opening, this is like about somebody simply closing those paths. Look how here, like you can get through, right? But here they're closing, they're thorny, right? And something over here kind of like pushes you into very negative attitude. The devil is also known to pull the strings. It's always including exes or third party situation, right? It's kind of like really messing up with our understanding of the situation. It's almost like that you have somebody kind of like really talking to you on your shoulder, and always convincing you that something else is better. Well, why would you have this girlfriend or boyfriend? You can get better. You can do so much better. So you really need to kind of like think about that through as well. This is like connecting with Capricorn. So where do we have Capricorn this month? We have new moon in Capricorn. That is like January 13th. I thought there is like somewhere else. Oh yes, Venus enters Capricorn. That's on the 8th, and new moon is on the 13th. So I feel that there's like something around that time that your reaction will be needed. So don't go into black and white reaction. Don't go into satisfying your immediate needs. You have to think long term, and don't forget to look from the other angle. Remember, things are positioned well for you. You just need to play it out. You shouldn't kind of like, this is almost a test, because you're getting this get out of jail card, and this is testing you right away. Have you learned it, or is it going to push you for another cycle? So okay, my Taurus, now as I said, it's a second part, so let's take a few cards here and see your entire 2021 and what can we expect there. So Taurus, this is a quick review, just few cards. Taurus for 2021. Okay, Taurus. Well, you have the Lovers, and this is now for the entire year, so some connection. Well, this is a major arcana. You also have Silence, and this is like spectacular card. This is also air and air. So this entire year will be kind of like sign of you needing to communicate. Then you have another major, Awareness. Holy moly. So it's not going to be only the month that is critical. You have all fours. That I haven't seen yet. You have all four majors. So air, and this is Uranus, and water. Like pretty much like what you had in your January. So January almost like going to be a taste. You know how they kind of bring you a sip of champagne to try? So that's kind of like what's going to be. January is going to be a flavor of the entire year. So you'll have to learn not to jump the gun. You'll have to learn to kind of position yourself and understand what other people are going through, and be compassionate about it and understanding. And if you need to fix something on your end, that you work on it. Otherwise, the Sky Queen that you had is going to be disciplining you, and you're not going to like it. Here you have a repetition. Here you have the Lovers and the Silence. But this is not so much the silence of the Lovers. It's like kind of like the third eye. Look at her third eye is really working overtime. Over here, it's the hope, it's the communication. It is the understanding of your inner child over here. Look at that. It's kind of like the cold flame that is melting, and kind of like you are understanding there's like somebody here buried. Like, look, he just kind of like wants to come out. It's needing to maybe, you need to maybe take care of yourself. You maybe need to move toward new goals. Remember, in January, it's going to be finale. The Judgment was saying, hey, you know, this is done. This is not only chapter, but the book is done. Let's go for a new book, right? And here is like setting new goals. Here it is like, I mean, being very hopeful about the future is going to bring. Here is going to be hopeful in the partners that you're going to have. And this is all kind of like carrying a huge dosage of promise. And then it's saying, okay, what the hell are you waiting for? You need to make this jump. And the Fool is ruled by Uranus in tarot, which basically brings us everything. Now going forward, Uranus is basically brilliant, but it can be very unpredictable, and you have lots of air. You're going to feel like fish out of water, kind of like for the entire year, and almost like I predict, guys, that in the monthly readings you're going to have lots of tower moments. And this is because you are a fixed sign, you're a stubborn sign, like all the other fixed signs, and that you'll have this inclination to kind of like run the things your way. And with major arcanas, this means, nope, universe is there, universe is doing that, and universe is telling you what to do. So let's see what we have here for my Taurus. The same thing, thing, thing. So we have the Snake over here. Again, there's like this repetition that you might be having some interference with the connection that you have with somebody. There's somebody in the way. It could be just simply in the way of gossip, or maybe somebody was talking smack about you, and hence that's the blockage. It's a good kind of like with these cards, like when the air cards show up, it's actually okay to really go bluntly and ask the person, hey, what's up? Like, it almost looks like you're avoiding me, and why is this not happening? We have agreed, and I want to know what's going on. Believe it or not, instead of like person being shocked, the person is going to say, okay, well, this is what happened. Kind of like the bluntness is being like a return with bluntness, and they're going to put the cards on the table and know exactly what's happening. And it's not going to be what you fear to be. Here you have the Bouquet. The Bouquet is the card of luck in Lenormand. I will be also offering Lenormand readings. They're actually fantastic. They can give you lots of timelines and kind of like intrigues, what's happening in your life that maybe you didn't even know. Then you have the Mice, which is awareness. So you need to be aware of damage. Mice represents damage and mistakes and problems and worries, right? And Mice eats everything going forward and has the droppings on the back, so both freaking directions are damaged. So hence, nothing that is on a path is proper one. You really need to kind of like figure out something new. And this is like that spiritual aspect. It's almost like awakening that you're going to have. And never universe takes you, and their universe is taking you this year. Look at that, like 4 of them. And this is kind of connecting with you, because 2021, when you add the digits 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 1, it's 5. The card in tarot that is representing universe, representing this year, 5, is Hierophant. It is card that belongs to you. So guys, don't forget to put yourself on my mailing list so you can get this information, numerological information in 2021, as it's going to be very pertinent to you. So Mice, it's basically telling you need to think out of the box. You need to stop the damage. You need to kind of like really figure out who is basically staying there, who isn't. And then you have the Fool and the Letter, and this is some kind of communication, and can talk about the contracts, and can talk about increasing your communication skills. This can even talk about somebody starting their own business venture, signing contracts, signing the paperwork. Maybe some of you are writers, or are going to publish a successful blog, and that's going to be very productive. The Fool is like you're going into the unknown. but you're jumping into the unknown, and you're really, really enjoying it. So, and let me get an oracle card. As I said, is going to be a part of this to kind of like give you a little bit guide. And you got education. This kind of like goes back to that letter. Is this a cormorant? I guess it is. So let's see what it says. Life is filled with lessons. Be teachable. Wisdom comes from participating in life, not just reading about it. This card suggests you might not have enough knowledge about what you seek, the direction to take, your circumstances, or the nature of your inquiry. Important information is coming. Now is the time to go to school, ask a person who might know more than you do, or find a teacher or a course of study that you can more clearly understand what the next right action must be. Sometimes life unexpectedly sends you to an unfamiliar school, and you must learn by experience. Now it is a time to be teachable, open to changing your preconceived notions. Be a student and be willing to state the most powerful mantra of all. I don't know yet, but I will know. So if you guys want to come to my school, I still have tarot school. It's kind of like now individually kind of guided, so feel free. Also guys, just reminder, put yourself on my mailing list. If you don't have the notification because YouTube did a number on my channel, that please kind of subscribe and just allow yourself to get notifications. I am really mindful of the fact that I don't want to spam you. It's just, to me, I unsubscribe from the people who kind of like do that all the time. So generally maybe they're like, I don't know, 1 to 2 messages a month on average, even if that. And yes, if you want to get a reading from me, you can contact me via cattarot.ca. If you're my past client, then you can also order your personal annual reading, which is discounted to $195 from $230 because of the pandemic. We all kind of like suffered, so I'm understanding of that. If you haven't been a client, then you will need to wait a little bit until I clear my clients before this is available to you, but you can go for the other readings. It's just like personal annual are over hour and a half, and they're draining, and I can only do one a day, so I'm just pacing myself. So my dear Taurus, Happy New Year. I really, really hope that you're going to enjoy it. I really hope I'm going to see you on a mailing list. With every mailing list, every month you get also a calendar. In that calendar, I give you all the celestial events, what you need to kind of like think about. You can print it out, put it on your desktop, and move forward with some kind of like control over your life. It's going to be an awesome month. It's going to be even better year. You just need to trust. You need to be teachable. You need to be moldable. And this is going to be a really good starting point for you. Love you, Taurus. Have a great month. Have a great New Year celebration. And namaste.